The following story is also available as a read-only version. Check the link in the description if you're interested.
Rusty was panting. He could feel the heat evaporating off his tongue, but it was not enough to generate anything remotely approaching comfort. For the past few months he'd kept to the shade, drunk a lot of fluids loaded with chemical coolants, and worn ice packs on his body. None of it helped against the merciless sun of the Australian outback, even considering that Rusty's genetic archetype was the Rhodesian Ridgeback, a dog well adapted to torrid climates. It was difficult to imagine how human sweat glands could cope with this heat, or how anyone could be so comfortable here that they would build a city around Uluru. But here it was, a small metropolis in the middle of the desert, rife with healers, mystics, and priests, claiming the rock as the focal point of their Aboriginal faith, their Christianity, or their ecocentrism. Rusty was standing on a crossroads between fields of outback potatoes and solar panels, waiting. To the southeast, he could see the crest of Uluru above the high-rises of the city, and to the northwest, the suburb of Yulara baked in the afternoon sun. A ceremony somewhere in the distance brought the smell of marijuana and the sound of didgeridoos. The occasional farming drone passed overhead, whirring quietly. He knew that they were watching him, and he knew that they were making him wait to demonstrate their power and to weaken his resolve. But when one wanted to get ahead in life, one had to suffer, and Rusty had suffered the climate of this place since last winter, when it had already been unbearable. The people he'd be dealing with were notoriously difficult to find. Remaining hidden was the most important part of their strategy. The sound of tires on dirt. Rusty turned around. 2 kilometers down the road, an SUV was approaching him. It was white, a bit dirty, and very much inconspicuous. Its electric motor was louder than it should have been, an older model. It stopped 100 meters short of him, and 2 men climbed out, leaving the driver inside. Instead of approaching, they waved Rusty over to them. One was clearly little more than a bodyguard, and judging by his smell, he had some reptile and rhino genes. He was gigantic and muscular, his eyes scanning the perimeter dispassionately. The other man was pure human, unusually light-skinned for the inhabitants of Uluru City, with wispy dark blonde hair and cobalt eyes. The human threw him a bottle and Rusty caught it out of the air. "Aye, come on, I was hoping you'd catch it with your mouth," the human complained. "I have human hands, why not use them?" Rusty asked. "Go on then, drink of the salubrious substance, dog." The human pointed at the bottle. He opened the lid, smelled it. Water, mostly, and cold, too, but also the tiniest bit of Veritas. It was unfortunate, but he had prepared for this situation. All he could hope for was that he wouldn't overheat as the Countess Serum protected him from becoming a truth-speaking idiot. Rusty downed the bottle in a few drags, happy about the cold relief. He then threw it back, watching it land at the human's feet. "You're not Anna Flagry," he noted. "You thought you were gonna speak with the big boss herself?" The human laughed. "Myopic, even for a dog. I'm a appraiser. I know what she wants, and I make all the deals." "That wasn't what we agreed upon," Rusty complained. "Show me the goods before I have some sense beaten into you, dog." The appraiser did not sound like someone who played games. Reluctantly, Rusty closed the distance between them and opened his briefcase. Inside, packed in protective gel cushions, was a bronze figurine of a man carrying pails of water. His phallus was enormous, measuring 1/3 of his body length, and there were eyelets on his joints through which bells could be attached. Oxidization had turned the metal green and covered it with incrustations protruding from the man's body like pest boils. Roman Tintinnabulum, 3rd century CE, stolen from the Naples Archaeological Museum 10 months ago. Rusty could feel the Veritas doing its work on his brain. He felt momentarily dizzy, and his tongue became distant, like a foreign entity connected to his body. His mouth was immediately dry as the counter-serum lowered the production of saliva in order to achieve its goal. The appraiser carefully lifted the figure out of the briefcase, inspecting it from all sides with keen interest. His retina flashed like a strobe light as he scanned, and presumably sent pictures of it to his master. How the fuck does a dog become a master thief? I mean, you can't even see colours properly. I have a human pair of eyes and visual cortex, said Rusty. I can see all the same colours you can. If that's what they told ya. The appraiser placed the Tintinnabulum back in the briefcase. Your story checks out, even though I had not expected it to, if I'm honest. But I have to ask, why the fuck did you come all the way from Europe to sell this item to my boss in particular? Believe it or not, there are not many buyers in the market for ancient Roman wind chimes. There's a man in Iceland, but he would have reported me to the authorities, and a collector in India, but she's known to be a cheapskate and just generally interested in everything Roman, so the price would not have been as good as whatever I could get out of someone specifically interested in Tintinnabulum. If they're so difficult to get rid of, why steal them in the first place? The appraiser asked. Well, I didn't go to Naples to steal this thing specifically. If you checked my background, you'll know that a whole host of items were stolen that night, Rusty explained. The appraiser nodded. Okay then, I'll take it. No. Rusty quickly laid his hand upon the briefcase. I was told I'd be meeting with Anna Flagry, not some emissary. How do I even know you're really working for her? You'll have to trust me, mate. The appraiser shook his head. She's not stayed anonymous for so long because she's cavalier with who she deals with, so I rather think you sell to me, or you're stuck with the Indian cunt. Your choice. Rusty took a deep breath, as if weighing his options. Even closing his mouth for a moment felt as though he was closing the door of the oven he was inside of. All right then, but I expect 10% more than the agreed-upon price. The appraiser frowned. Why the fuck would I do that, dog? Because, Rusty almost stumbled, feeling light-headed for a moment. The heat could overwhelm him at any second. Because I am incurring a risk here. There is no guarantee that you're actually working for Anna Flagry, and I guaranteed that I would be selling the item to her, not a third party. You fucking cunt. The appraiser shook his head. How about, instead, I just have my friend here beat you to death and take the figurine off your dead body? The bodyguard moved forward, his dead eyes locking onto Rusty's, tensing for a punch that could probably decapitate him. Before the man could attack, the appraiser raised his hand. His stare had gone glassy-eyed, distant, and he was nodding, listening to a voice only he could hear. After a moment, the fog disappeared and the appraiser looked at Rusty with frustration. All right, mate, you're getting your extra money. The boss sends her regards. Rusty almost didn't make it to his car. When he finally climbed in, the cool interior felt like a refrigerator in the best possible way. He closed the door and let his head droop onto his chest. The dry heat of the outback came out of him like air from a pressure canister. Did they bite? A voice asked over the speaker system. Yeah, they bought the figurine. Let's just hope you concealed your device properly, Rusty responded. The words came out of him almost involuntarily. Trust me, they won't detect anything. Now come, we're expecting you at HQ. The line was cut. No thank yous, no goodbyes. Even when he was about to take down the biggest money laundering operation the world had ever seen, Rusty was only a dog to the humans.
If you liked this story and would like to hear more, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. A new short story is uploaded every Wednesday, and there will occasionally be another one in between if I find the time. Thank you very much for listening and have a great day.